Hey everyone, it's Melinda with Tailored and Teal, and welcome back to another What Sold video. These are sales on Poshmark and eBay from December 1st through December 15th of 2024. So as you can tell from the beginning of the video, I had no sales on Mercari, but that's actually okay because I had quite a few sales on the other platforms that I honestly wasn't really expecting. So first we're going to start on Poshmark, where I had 7 sales. The first sale was a free to me item. This is actually something my mom gave to me for Christmas quite a few years ago. I opened it, thought it was really funny, and then put it in a cabinet for years and never used it. So I pulled it out and listed it. It was a Big Mouth Big Dill large coffee cup or mug. Definitely was funny, and it was a great gag gift or like a white elephant gift or something like that. But the person who purchased this actually had this same exact mug, but she had just broken it that same day that she purchased it. She was able to quickly find my listing. I don't remember if I sent the offer or if she sent me the offer, but I accepted at $12 with no discounted shipping, and she got her mug within a few days, and she was very, very happy and very excited to find a replacement mug. You never know what people are shopping for. Next up is a Fifth Sun Charcoal Gray Fa La 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 Latte soft thin knit sweater. This I sourced from ThredUp's Outlet Center back in 2020, so it definitely took 4 years to sell. It sold for $16 with no discounted shipping, which I actually think that was my full asking price. Next up is a cookbook that is a BOLO that I wasn't expecting. So I am from Central Pennsylvania, and my grandmother watched Cornerstone TV, which was a company that had their own TV channel, but it was religious programming. So they had cooking shows with religious themes. They had preachers talking. They had Sunday service. Like, it was a whole thing. And this particular lady had her own cooking show. I watched it with my grandmother. She watched it all the time. We even made some of the recipes out of this cookbook. And it was an Arlene Williams At Home with Family and Friends cookbook from 1994. I do believe there is another one, like a book 2 or maybe even a third one, while I was researching for sold comparable listings. And this sold for $40. Now, I do think that this cookbook and TV channel is very specific to Pennsylvania only. So I'm not sure if you'd be able to find this in your own thrift stores if you're not in Pennsylvania, but certainly is something to look for. I definitely was not expecting this cookbook to sell for that much. It sold for my full asking price within a week of me listing it. I have a lot of good memories with my grandmother making recipes in this cookbook, so I'm happy to pass it along to someone else now. Next up is an Etienne Anye gold tone rounded square oval link necklace. This actually came out of one of my belt unboxings from shopgoodwill.com, but I quickly realized that it was a necklace and not a belt. It sold for $8 with no discounted shipping. Next up is a blouse by Soft Surroundings. This was the black Madeline asymmetric tunic. This blouse was very substantial. It was a heavy knit, and it actually weighed close to a pound, but would definitely keep you warm. I got this out of a mystery box from a random company on the internet that I do not recommend, even though the stuff is selling. And it sold for my full asking price of $30 with no discounted shipping. Next up is a pair of shoes. This is New with Tags Caslon Avery Hidden Wedge Faux Fur Lined Boots. Caslon is sold at Nordstrom. I'm not sure if it's Nordstrom or Nordstrom Rack, but it's definitely one of those, if not both. These came out of a ThredUp rescue box of shoes, and they sold for my full asking price of $40 with no discounted shipping. And then the last item to sell was another New with Tags items. This was from the brand Talbots, and it was a white and metallic tan snowflake Nordic print knit sweater. I got this at my local Salvation Army in 2023, so it took a year and a half to sell because it was July of 2023, and it sold for $22 with no discounted shipping. So of my 7 Poshmark sales, I made $168 in sales. I had $35.50 in fees. I gave out no shipping discounts, and my total profit was $132.50, and my average sales price for each item that sold was $24. Next up on eBay, I had 18 sales. Not sure what happened over on eBay. It could be the 30% off sale that I'm running. It could just be chance or luck, but I will take it. So the first item was a Rick Mires Pennzoil 1984 Indianapolis Indy 500 race car collector pin. This came out of a large Shop Goodwill jewelry unboxing. I got a whole bag of these Indianapolis 500 pins. I think I only have 2 left, so they are very good sellers. And this one sold for $6. Next up is an Avon Gold Tone Twisted Heart Chain Necklace. I use the keywords romantic, anniversary, Valentine. This came out of a jewelry unboxing, but I can't remember which one, and it sold for $9.09. The customer told me that she had the bracelet of this set, but she was missing the necklace, so she was very happy to find my listing. Next up is a leather black and red mini Fringe Festival braided crossbody strap purse. This came out of a thread up fun box, and it sold for $9.75, and it was unbranded. Next up is a Loft Green Tee back sleeveless halter neck trapeze dress, size small. I did use the keyword holiday because I thought it was the perfect green for like a Christmas party or something like that. It sold for $15.39, and this came out of that mystery box from that random company that I mentioned on the Poshmark sales. Although the items are selling, I still don't recommend it because my price of goods was too high for the items that I've received in the box, but happy that things are still selling from it. Next up is a lot of 3 buffalo or bison bull shaped metal colorful pins. These also came out of my Shop Goodwill jewelry unboxing, and they sold for $8.75. Next up is a new with tags CJ Banks embellished sequin floral mixed media sleeveless blouse. This was a size 3X, and if you don't know, CJ Banks is the plus size line of Christopher and Banks. This came from my local Salvation Army, and it sold for $10. Next up is a blouse that was my mom's. It was Coft Barrel maroon paisley print velvet pleated Henley blouse. It was a size large petite, and it sold for $8. Next up is another free to me item. This was a vintage book from 1938. The title of it was Story Pictures of Our Neighbors, and it was by John Y. Beatty. It sold for $5.59. This next item, I ended up refunding the customer, but I did want to mention it on here because I am open and transparent with all of my sales. So this was partly my fault and partly the customer's fault. So I listed this as a Precious Moments Baby's First Christmas Girl 1985 Annual Edition ornament and box. However, it was not an ornament. It was only a figurine. I don't know why I listed it as an ornament. I think I might have just found a sold comp and then clicked sell one like this and just didn't change the title. Or maybe I actually did think it was an ornament. I'm not sure, but that was my bad. The second piece to this is that my name was written on the bottom. So whoever gave this to my mom, or technically to me, they wrote my name on it and it could not be removed. I did include pictures of my name, and I also put it in the description saying that it is personalized and it does not come off. When the customer got this in the mail, she was very disappointed because it wasn't an ornament, which she has every right to be disappointed. However, she did also mention the name on the bottom, and I did tell her, yes, I apologize that I listed it incorrectly. However, I did mention the personalization in the listing, and there's also a picture of it. However, since it was a free to me item, I went ahead and refunded her the full cost. And because there was a little difference in the shipping that she paid and the shipping I paid, I ended up making $1.67 off of it. Not an ideal situation, but again, completely half my fault, half her fault. Maybe I shouldn't have listed it at all, but I decided to give a shot, and I probably won't do that again. Lesson learned. Next up is a Saint Martin African-American schoolgirl uniform with pigtails. I do believe that this was a handmade doll. My mom gave this to me years ago to resell. I couldn't really find any information on it, so finally it sold for $5.75. Next up is a ring that is by the brand RSC. It is a silver tone Byzantine religious crossband ring, size 6.5 to 6.75 because it's a wider band. So sometimes that depends on the person's finger and how it fits them. It sold for $8, and that was part of my Shop Goodwill ring unboxing that I did over a year ago. I still have items that are selling from that lot. Next up is a vintage Tupperware home parties kit. This included party games, pamphlets, catalogs from the 1950s and the 1960s. And it was in this cute little brown envelope style container that you could carry around with you when you went to these home parties. These were my grandmother's because she was a Tupperware dealer back in the 1950s and 60s and even 70s, I think. And they sold for $17.49, and that only took a few weeks to sell. Next up is a Nike Air Max Bella TR4 sneakers. They were in the colorway of college gray and pale coral. They were a size 8.5. These came out of a ThredUp rescue box and they sold for $22. Next up is a silver tone engraved daughter thin bangle bracelet. It said something about whenever you get stressed out or you're anxious or something like that, remember whose daughter you are and straighten your crown. That was engraved on the inside, and then on the outside it had little arrows near the end of the bangle bracelet. This sold for $7.69, and it came out of my Via Trading Amazon jewelry lot, which I am also still selling items from that lot. Next up is a Tahari blue diamond check hook front blazer. This was a size 4. I don't remember where this came from, probably a ThredUp rescue box, but it was from 2021 and it finally sold for $12. Next up was a Pixle elephant novelty print black and tan 3/4 sleeve blouse. It was a size small. I sourced this from ThredUp's outlet center when we were all on lockdown during COVID of 2020. It sat for 4 years and it finally sold for $9. And the customer actually reached out to me and said there were a lot more of these blouses that were listed on eBay, and she even got lower offers than what I sent her. But because I had all of the important information in my description, including measurements, she decided to purchase from me, and that was a great way to run a business. So I thanked her for the compliment and I hope she enjoys her blouse. Next up is a 1980 blue and gray cookery cookbook, Civil War recipes by Hugh and Judy Gowan from Pennsylvania. This was a free to me cookbook and it sold for $6.99. And then the last item to sell was a vintage 1984 Hasbro Softies Muppet Babies Kermit and Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy was still in her original packaging. Kermit had a tag cut off of him, but he was still in really great condition. These were my own as a child. I obviously didn't play with them. I think my mom purchased them and then probably saved them as collectibles later on. And now I'm selling the collectibles, which they're not really that collectible anymore, but they did sell and they sold for $12.59. So of my 18 eBay sales, I made $174.08 in sales. I made a shipping profit of $40.70. And this is a little higher this time because I had quite a few sales go to the West Coast, which they always pay more because it takes longer to get to them. And because of eBay's discounted shipping program, I don't have to pay that much. So I did make a good amount of money there. My fees were $61.50, giving me a profit of $153.28. And my average sales price for each item that sold was $9.67. So of my total sales on Poshmark and eBay from December 1st through December 15th of 2024, I had a total of 25 sales. I made $342.08 in sales, $56.30 in fees, Cost of goods was $55.52, giving me a profit of $230.26. And my average cost of goods for each item that sold was $2.22. That concludes this what sold video for the first 2 weeks of December. I am very thankful that I have more sales to report to you. Very thankful that this video is longer than 9 to 10 minutes. And I hope that your sales are doing better as well. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.